Hello. So yesterday we talked about adding and subtracting fractions. Today we're going to take some notes on adding and subtracting mixed numbers, as well as do some practice. So after you watch this video, you'll have 10 practice problems to do that go towards a completion grade for this week. So make sure you use these notes to help you with that. So back to this foldable that I showed you guys where the steps are on top and examples are on the bottom. We did these first two examples yesterday, so we're not going to do those today. But anyway, just to review the steps, when we're adding and subtracting fractions, we use the same steps. First, we find a common denominator if there isn't already one, and we do that by using the LCM, that least common multiple. And then we would either add or subtract the numerators depending on what kind of problem it is. Remember, the numerator is that top number. And the denominator always stays the same there for adding and subtracting. And then we would simplify. We say, what is there a number that goes into both of these? Yes or no, to tell us if we can simplify or not. Now, if you'll see, I have 2 stars here for mixed numbers. So what you want to do with mixed numbers is that you first want to deal with the fractions, so the numerators. You're adding and subtracting those first, and then you want to subtract the whole numbers. This is especially important in, well, really both, but in subtraction, because if the fractions aren't able to be subtracted, we would have to borrow from the whole number. And for addition, we might have to add to the whole number based on what the outcome of the fraction is. So let's look at 2 examples here. We have 3 2/4 plus 1 5/12. Okay, so very first step here is to get a common denominator. So we're just looking at the fractions right now. We have 4 and 12. So I know that 4 goes into 12, so 12 is going to be my common denominator actually. So my 3 stays the same, and I know 12 is going to be to my denominator. And then luckily actually 1 and 5/12 stays the same, okay? Because we know that 12 is going to be that denominator. So how did I get from 4 to 12? Well, I multiplied by 3, so I have to multiply the top by 3, because what you do to the bottom, you've got to do to the top. 2 times 3 is 6, okay? So here we have 3 6/12 plus 1 and 5/12, okay? So what we would do then is we would add our numerators. 5 plus 6 is 11. So it's 11/12. And then separately, we just add our whole numbers. 1 plus 3 is 4. So the answer here is 4 and 11/12. And it's easy as that, okay? Let's look at a subtracting example. So here we have 4 3/4 minus 4 1/4. So luckily we have common denominators, so we don't have to worry about that. Let's do our numerators first. 3 minus 1 is 2. So we have 2/4. And then 7 minus 4 is 3. So 7 minus 4 is 3. So we have 3 2/4. Well, this fraction can be simplified, and we know that 2/4, 2 goes into both of those, so we would actually have 3, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So we have 3.5 for our answer here. Okay? So those are 2 pretty simple examples. We're going to go and do a couple more examples. Let's look at, let's see, let me think here, sorry. I want to do, which one shall we do? Let's see, let's do this one right here. 94 and 11/15 minus 49 and 2/5. So we want a common denominator here. So we're going to take 5 does go into 15 3 times, so we're going to actually keep this number the same, and this number is going to become something over 15. Well, we know that 5 times 3 is 15, 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, So then all we would have to do is subtract. We know that 11 minus 6 is 5. So we are going to take, let's make an equal sign here. Sorry. So then we have 5 over 15. And 94 minus 49 gives us 45. So our whole number would be 45. Now we can simplify this because 5 and 15, 5 goes into both of them. So this would give us actually 45 and 1, because 5 goes into 5 one time, over 3, because 5 goes into 15 3 times. So that would give us. Okay, now let's look at this one, number 7 here. This says 1 over 8, by the way. So we're looking at this one, and we see that we have 25 and 1/8 minus 12 and 5/12. So we need a common denominator between 8 and 12. So this would be 25 and something, and then this would be 12 and something. Okay, so 12 and 8, a good common denominator. So if I count by 12s, 12, 24, I know that 8 goes into 24. 8 times 3 is 24, and 12 times 2 is 24. So if I did 8 times 3, I also have to multiply my top. So 3 times 3 is, 1 times 3 is 3. And then 5 times 2 is actually 10. Okay, so here's where it's important that we do the fraction first, because if you'll look, can I subtract 3 minus 10? No, I can't. So just like when we borrow in a normal subtraction problem, we can borrow here. So I have a whole number. This would drop down to 24. I now only have 24 wholes. And if I take a whole away, that's actually 24 pieces. So if that drops to 24, I'm going to do this in a different color. So this is now 24. Well, if I drop that down to 24, that means I have 24 pieces plus 3. This would then change to 27. Okay, I'm not just taking one from it, I'm taking one whole. And a whole is 24 pieces in this case. So that's why I did the 24 plus 3. All right, so then I could subtract 27 minus 10 is 17 over 24. And 24 minus 12 is 12. So my answer here would be 12 and 17 over 24. Okay, so that's why it's important to do the fraction part first, because if you run into something like this where you couldn't subtract, you would have to take from your whole number. Okay, so just please, please, please remember that. All right, let's do an addition example, and then we are good to go. All right, let's go ahead and do this first one. We have 4 and 3/5 plus 3 and 4/5. So common denominator, woohoo, we're good to go. 3 plus 4 is 7. And we keep that denominator of 5. 4 plus 3 is also 7. So we have 7 and 7/5. Well, we have an improper fraction in here. And anytime you have a mixed number, you don't want to have your mixed number and an improper fraction. So we need to go ahead and simplify that. We know that 5 goes into 7 one time. So we are adding a whole to here. So 8 plus 7, or 7 plus 1 is 8. And then we have 2 left over because 7 minus 5 is 2. So this answer would actually be 8 and 2/5. That's what we would write in our answer box. Okay? And that is adding and subtracting mixed numbers. Just like fractions, except for we have a whole number paired with it, we can do those separately unless we need to borrow from that or add to it. All right? I hope you guys have a great day.